Howdy folks, it's Darcy from the Purposeful and welcome back to another day of Drycember. We're on day 10 and today we're going to shake it up a little bit and talk about the 4 things I love and the 4 things I don't love about my Excalibur Dehydrator. Okay, to get us started, I'm using an Excalibur 3900B. It does not have a timer and it does not have a digital board. I don't need a timer. For my opinion, a timer is useless because all it does is turn off your machine. It doesn't tell you when your food's done. You still have to check it. So I didn't think that I needed a timer. So before we get started on my tips, just something I want to explain, that this is a video about my experience with my Excalibur. Excaliburs are not the cream of the crop in the dehydrating world anymore. They used to be. They used to be the best thing there was on the market. One of the things that I notice often is that if people don't have an Excalibur, they tend to apologize for having a lesser machine. Don't. Never apologize for the machine that you have that you're using. Never. I'm just trying to share my experience with this machine if you are trying to decide if an Excalibur is the machine for you. All right, my number one favorite thing about the Excalibur Dehydrator is its size, because I can do so much in it. It's 9 trays, 14 by 14 trays, and I can get a lot in there and move it through and then set something else up and move it through and set something else up. I love that it's so big because I can do so much product. On the flip side, the thing I don't like about it is its size. I have a fairly small kitchen in a space that's also part of our living room. So it's like one room with everything together, and it's small. And it also happens to be right behind my husband's head where his chair is. So he gets the heat, he gets the noise. So our kitchen is not the best place for it because it takes up so much space. So where do I keep it, you ask? Right there. It stays in my laundry closet because that's the only place that I had to keep it. But that's okay. I found a home for it. It works just fine in there and we make it work. My second favorite thing about my dehydrator is the power. It is a 600 watt machine, which tends to be on the higher side of the wattages for machines. The higher wattage, the better it works and the more efficient it dries. It also means it uses a little bit more power, except you're not drying as long, so there's that balance. Now, there are machines that are more powerful. The Nesco Garden Master number I can't remember, and it's the one that can expand to 30 trays. It is 1,000 watts. However, you have to rotate those trays, and I don't have space to put 30 trays in my machine, although I would love it, but I really don't. So, also, the Advanco stainless steel machine from webrestaurantsupply.com, I'll put that link down below, is a 1,000 watt machine. It's also less expensive than the Excalibur, and it's one I recommend heartily. It's just not one that you can get easily at any place. It's only available at that store. And if it had been available at the time, I probably would have chosen it over the Excalibur. At the time, looking back. Now, at that time, I don't know that I would have, but looking back on it now, it's what I would choose instead, just because it's a less expensive machine with more power. So, more power. But on the other hand, because it's more powerful and the way this particular machine's made, it does tend to be a bit noisy. And if we're going to run it in the kitchen, it does impede upon our time in here because it is right on top of everything that we have going. So while it's in the closet with the door shut, it's like a background white noise. We don't really notice it anymore. But if it was out in the room with us, it's noticeable. But noise is relative, and it also matters like where you have your machine. Some machines are loud, some aren't. But if I compare it to a Nesco 75, which I also have, and it will be the next video you see about the things I love and hate about it, it's quieter than the Excalibur. The number 3 thing I love about my Excalibur is the construction, because it is a brute of a machine. I can bang it around, which I tend to do when I'm trying to move it from the closet to the kitchen to clean it, or if I'm working on pictures for the blog or whatever. It does not fall apart. It does not get banged up and bent. It doesn't, the trays aren't breakable. I mean, I'm sure I could step on it and somehow and break it, but they aren't delicate. It is all completely, it's a brute, okay? It is I don't know what the plastic's called. I want to say extruded, but that's not it either. The plastic, it's built out of plastic. It's not a stainless steel machine, but it is hardcore plastic. It's not like flimsy, and warming up, it doesn't move. I mean, it is a solidly built machine. On the flip side of that, the construction is great, but there are some things about the way it was constructed and the way it was designed that make things like cleanup a little bit problematic in places. You can see here along this channel on the bottom where dirt has gotten into the corners because I have to get in there with like something really fine to kind of dig around if stuff gets stuck in there. And what tends to happen, like for me, I had a raspberry blow up when I was drying raspberry powder, and didn't wait until the machine came to a full and complete stop before I opened that door and the powder blew. So because powder is hygroscopic, it's going to absorb all the moisture in the air the minute that it gets exposed to it. So I didn't get it cleaned up fast enough, and it just kind of stuck. It's like glue. So I need to get into those crevices and clean that out. Along the top, you can see the crevice here will collect dust and fine bits of things. Back along the thermostat, it collects stuff in that little alcove. And then on the inside of the machine, along the tray slots, those collect a lot of things, whether it's old leaves, whether it's powder, whether it's whatever. I have to be really specific to go in there and clean those out. And you can see here, you know, I didn't get it. Additionally, with cleanup with this machine, because it's so large, it kind of is like a drawback of the size plus the construction. If you have a small sink in your kitchen, those trays are problematic to clean because you don't really have a good space to put them in to clean them. When I first got it, I resorted to going to the bathtub and filling up the bathtub a little bit, letting my tray soaked and scrubbing them and rinsing them off and then bringing them back out. I've also been known to take them out onto the back porch and scrub them and use the water hose to clean them off. Another alternative is that if you get like a Sterilite or Rubbermaid tote that is wide enough to put your trays in, you can just fill it with water, clean it on your countertop, and then go from there. I know the trays in the Excalibur are also dishwasher safe. That means you can wash them in your dishwasher. You just don't want to dry them in your dishwasher. After the wash cycle happens, then pull them out and let them dry on your countertop. The only thing for me is that I would hate to waste a whole wash cycle just to do those trays, and they don't fit well in my machine. And I wouldn't do that anyway. All right. Then number 4, the versatility of the machine makes me happy because not only can I dehydrate whatever I want, I can pull trays out and take up some extra space when I'm doing greens that tend to be fluffier and it needs some extra room. I can remove a couple of trays and give myself that room. Also, if I wanted to, if I made my own yogurt, I could take trays out, put my yogurt containers in there and proof my yogurt. I could also do it with bread. So it makes it to where I can do things with it that I couldn't do with other kinds of machines. Not just specifically to the Excalibur itself, but to that design where you have the cabinet style. It gives you some flexibility in what you do. I also can take trays out and I don't have to worry about the efficacy of the machine the way if you have that with stackables. They're designed to run at a certain height. So too few trays makes it a little less efficient. Too many trays makes it less efficient. So I like that versatility in this machine that I can move things around and it's okay. It works. It doesn't affect the machine at all. And I still get a good dry. Okay, so the last part, which is it's probably the 4th thing I don't like about it, although it doesn't really have a lot to do with the versatility. The price is pretty high. Now, here's why I think that. I understand that it has great construction. I understand that it's got a great warranty. I understand that it's a company who is not, that stands behind their work. But the price is still pretty high and they haven't started to be comparable to what's happened in the market in the last 5 years with dehydrators when so many new ones that are good are coming up and moving in. Excalibur really hasn't changed its price point to kind of match the market. Now that keeps it being the premier dehydrator on the market, but the price is pretty high. So if your budget can't match it, do not feel like it's something that you have to buy. You don't. Any machine that works, any machine that has a temperature control, try to get one that at least has that. But stick with what you can afford because as long as you're drying to get food in your pantry for your family, you do not need an Excalibur. However, if you can afford one, then the price is where you need to start thinking about, do I need that one or can I get something less expensive that works just as well? I love my Excalibur. I wouldn't give it up. I'm so glad that I got it, but I am not a person who is an Excalibur fan exclusively. There are other machines that are out there. And like I said in the beginning, I have a post on my website that goes through the things that you need to look for when you're buying a dehydrator, and then a breakdown of the best machines that I think that are out there that fit several different budgets so that you can look to see what you want. I'll leave that in the iCards right here or right here, whichever way it flips. And then that will give you an idea of what you can afford and what's out there within your budget, because that's what you should be looking for. So I hope these tips helped. If you have more questions, please just drop them down below and I'll answer anything that you have. So if you want to catch up on yesterday's Drycember, I'm going to leave it right here. The whole playlist for everything that's happened throughout the month is right here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel to see more dehydrating and food preservation down the line, you can get that right here. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and I'll see you tomorrow on another edition of Drycember.